Welcome to one of the last lectures of 2012. So we're really excited. I'm Gina Parenti. I coordinate the lectures here at the New England Aquarium with the help of the Lowell Foundation that keeps it free and open to the public. So we're very excited about that. We always like to mention that. Obviously, we are very ocean and earth-friendly conscious here. So before you throw anything away this evening, we are composting. So there are containers out in the hallway. So we always just ask that you look before you throw something in the trash. Make sure it's going in the right receptacle. Our next lecture is next Thursday, and it's all about a great project that we've been working on here at the Aquarium in Belize. So we have two of our fabulous staff members that will be here talking about that. So how many are there, this is their first lecture? Great. We do encourage you to join our mailing list so that you can hear about great events, and especially when we announce our new lecture series, which will start in probably March of next year. So we hope that you'll all come back for that, if not before in next week. So I will now hand it over to Elizabeth Fitzsimmons.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Fitzsimmons. I'm the outreach coordinator for the Sustainable Seafood Program here at the Aquarium. And I am extremely excited that all of you are here for this really engaging and interesting and also tasty Lowell lecture. We don't usually have food associated with the Lowell lectures, but I actually was really excited to have our speaker this evening, Bun, come and speak, because one of the major goals that we have with our sustainable seafood outreach is helping folks make the ocean to plate connection. Sort of make this idea that what you have on your dinner plate has a profound impact on ocean health. And therefore, if that is true, that each of you as an individual can actually play a really active role in ocean conservation by choosing seafood that is ocean friendly, making ocean friendly choices when you're shopping. And that's why I'm so excited about having Bun Lai here. Bun has definitely been sort of working on fostering the ocean to plate connection in really amazing ways at his restaurant Miya's Sushi in New Haven. Bun is the chef at Miya's, but the restaurant didn't begin with him. It began with his mother in the 80s, and it steadily gained popularity and renown as a sushi restaurant. And so there definitely was some risk associated with Bun's idea of shifting the menu towards sustainable seafood, because most of the seafoods that we associate with sushi, things like bluefin tuna and eel and salmon, are species that have really significant sustainability hurdles, and people question whether or not it was even possible to have a sustainable sushi restaurant. And the answer is there is a way to do it. The risk has definitely paid off, and Miya's is now famous really as much for its sustainability ethos as it is for the amazing sushi that we're going to try. I'm also really excited to have Bun here because he is a fabulous advocate of one of the most important steps that any of us can take towards seafood sustainability, and that is diversifying the species that we eat. So before I get Bun up here, I just wanted to quickly check how many of you in the past year have eaten tuna? Show of hands. Awesome. Salmon? Awesome. Asian shore crabs? Not a lot. So in this country, the overwhelming majority of seafood that we eat is a very small number of species. And what that does is it puts a lot of pressure on some species. It puts a lot of pressure on other fish farming, aquaculture industries to grow faster in many cases than conservation and oversight and governance can keep up with them. This idea of taking a step back from the seafood that we're used to and exploring the true bounty that the ocean offers is so clearly manifested in the work that Bun does in his restaurant, in the community work that he does, with the seafood that he's farming himself. It's really, really exciting to have someone who is really living that ethos of ocean conservation coming to speak with us. And so tonight is all about making those connections between the ocean and what you're going to have on your plates later. So please join me in welcoming Bun Lai.
I'm just going to start off with talking about the history of sushi, because I think it's kind of important to understand the history of it, to understand where we are today in it. Sushi started along the Mekong River in in China thousands of years ago. It was a way of preserving fish in a time when there was no refrigeration, in a place where rice first started in Asia at the same time too. So rice was coupled with vinegar and seafood, actually fish from a river, so it wasn't saltwater fish at all, and preserved. Today in Japan, there are places where carp is preserved in the same way, and it's not very popular because it's kind of a real stinky kind of cuisine. When you think about sushi today, you think about it first being Japanese cuisine. It's not Japanese cuisine. It started in China and then moved all the way through Central and Southeast Asia and eventually to Japan, and then from Japan it became very, very popular. So the Japanese made it famous here in the United States. Another thing that we think about when we think about sushi is tuna, invariably. Tuna wasn't eaten in Japan. It certainly wasn't eaten in the genesis of sushi when it was happening along the Mekong River as well. In our restaurant, what I try to do is reimagine the cuisine of sushi within the parameters of ideas of sustainability. So not using the most popular types of seafood. Shrimp is the most popular seafood, I believe, here in the United States. We don't serve shrimp. The reason we don't serve shrimp is because it's so incredibly destructive on so many levels. Just to give you an example, shrimp is only 2% of all seafood eaten in the entire world. Yet it's responsible, the wild shrimp fishery is responsible for 1/3 of all bycatch. That's species caught along with shrimp accidentally and then thrown back. So if you were to eat a plate of shrimp, you can expect that you'll also be killing or responsible for the death of 5 or 10 times, depending on where you are, 25 times the volume in shrimp that you're consuming. Tuna we don't use at the same time as well, because 6 out of 8 species popular species are overfished. Generally speaking, it's a fish that's fairly high in mercury, so it may not be the most popular, healthiest type of food that we should be eating. And then we don't use farm salmon. Farm salmon's the same sort of thing. Lots of ecological problems. You've got to feed it tiny little fish, anchovies and sardine-based feed, which is fish that we should be eating, because we should be eating lower on the food chain, because the most nutritive and the least contaminated types of fish, it turns out, are the smallest. And to be eating, for instance, I'm thinking right now about farm tuna, which won Time Magazine's Invention of the Year. The feed conversion ratio that I've seen is somewhere from 16 to 20 to 1. And in a world where there's 1 billion people starving, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I didn't really, tell you the truth, prepare for this presentation, so I'm just kind of, because I can't prepare anything very well anyway. So what I'm going to do instead is just kind of go through these slides and kind of run through the creative process of me as a food artist and why I created these things, and hopefully we'll be able to touch on these ideas of sustainability and ocean conservation. Maybe an alternative to shrimp over here, a dish I created called the Kani Baba. It's made out of Asian shore crabs. It's an invasive species. They came over the ballast of ships. Invasive species brought about by human beings is a top 10 ecological problem. As Elizabeth was saying, it's highly problematic that we're eating only a few species, of plants and a few species of animals. And we can easily diversify our diet to use ingredients that are more regenerative. So, for instance, there's a Maasai, not the Maasai, that's the Africans, the Masahari I think, the rat-eating people of India. They're more efficient in removing rats from the fields than pesticide is. Billions of pounds, I think 5 billion pounds of pesticide going to be into the earth and the ocean every single year in order to control species that are often edible. If we were to eat Asian shore crabs, which are problematic here in the East Coast, and everyone consume these instead of, say, fried shrimp, and these taste every bit as good, we wouldn't be buying farm shrimp from Ecuador, where 60% of their mangrove forests are now destroyed in order to satiate our hunger for cheap seafood. This dish I created to make look like the craggy shores where we collect the crabs. There's also European periwinkles there, which are also edible, and all sorts of other species like lady snippers and wakame and rockweed, which are all highly nutritious but not utilized. Here's a roll that I created. I like foraging a lot, being out in nature, and that's made out of a plant that many of you probably recognize. It's garlic mustard, an invasive species as well. Incredibly delicious and pungent, and it's made with our special rice. Traditionally and today, the sushi that we eat is made out of white rice, which has vinegar and then sugar put into it. Bad recipe. First of all, it doesn't taste very good. You know, it's basically, it tastes like candy. It's more like Wonder Bread if you think about the ingredients and the actual nutritive value of it. And in a country where most of us will end up dying from lifestyle-related diseases, it makes sense to make sushi into a more healthy cuisine. So the rice that you see there, which is the base rice that we use, is brown rice with quinoa and amaranth, which are two grains that have all the amino acids to make complete protein. Ground flaxseed to provide omega-3 fatty acids. Oats, because there's more fiber than any other grain. Last summer I went drag netting with a bunch of my guys, and we caught a bunch of smelt. I've been catching these since I was little. And the idea, again, is to think of different possibilities for the cuisine of sushi. This is designed to look like smelt as they swim through the ocean. That is our Cureba sashimi. I don't serve it on a V8 engine. All the other photos that you see have been expertly snapped by myself with my iPhone. This was done by a pro, and this is what happens when you let a professional do it for a magazine. But yeah, basically what happened with this is my neighbor brought in a activist, a Japanese activist of the island nations, or for the island nations of Kiribati. And he brought me salt, and he was like, "Bun, can you use this salt in one of your dishes? And can you create a dish to represent the struggles that they're having there?" So the island nation of Kiribati is 8 to 12 feet above water. It's in the Pacific Ocean. It's barely has any sort of resources. In the next 50 years, it's going to disappear because of the rising of waters because of climate change. And, climate change really affects, in a devastating way, the poorest people on Earth first. So I really wanted to create something that encapsulated their struggles. And the centerpiece is a piece of lionfish, which is also from the Pacific Ocean, and which is an underutilized species, which is highly invasive in the Atlantic right now, actually in the Long Island Sound as well, during the summertime. And then encrusted on it are herbs and spices that create a coolness and a warmth in your palate as a metaphor for climate change. Because climate change isn't just the world getting warmer, or different regions are colder, etc. And then the plant, the weed that's growing on top, is symbolic of human beings and of nature itself struggling to aspire and survive. This is a roll called the Tiger. It's named after the William Blake poem. And in the poem he asks why God created things the way they are. And for this role I asked myself why sushi had to come from Asia. And the answer to that is it really didn't have to come from Asia, because we also know that rice started in West Africa. And we also know that there's massive amounts of incredible fish that started in Africa. And there's all sorts of human significance to that, because geneticists tell us that human beings started along the Rift Valley, where there is an abundance of fish, and in West Africa an abundance of rice. And there is the fish-eating primate theory, which probably has been disproved at this point, but not when I created this dish. That argues or theorized that human beings along the Rift Valley, or before primates along the Rift Valley, started eating omega-3 rich fish and shellfish, and therefore their brains got bigger, and then they became human beings as we know today. In order to create this recipe, I placed myself in East Africa, because there's the Judeo-Christian and Ethiopian folklore or history of the historic story of the Queen of Sheba when she met King Solomon. She gave him a gift of spices, and there's a dozen spices in there that she might have given him. And instead of rice, it's made out of teff, because teff is an Eastern African ingredient, and they don't eat rice there. If you love Southern food, you will probably love okra. Okra is brought over by slaves from Africa. It's an African vegetable, so there's okra in it. As well, many of those people in that area, the shepherds and the people of Queen Sheba's queendom were shepherds. There's Connecticut sheep's milk cheese, and then Mozambique tilapia that are grown at the Bridgeport Agriculture School, 20 minutes from the restaurant. So right now we're gonna pass around some sushi samples, and if you could hold off just for a moment, I'll kind of guide you through a few of these recipes, and I sure hope you like them. So the first thing that you should try when you get your plate is the Asian shore crab. It's a whole lot like a soft shell crab. You can find it under rocks, really anywhere in the East Coast. And just as a rule of thumb, you just want to collect them in clean areas, places where shellfish are grown. And if it's clean enough for clams and oysters, then it's clean enough for crabs. And you just kind of eat it with your fingers. It's all finger food here, and hopefully it doesn't bite your tongue. If it does, it's never broken skin, I'll assure you.
this the size they'll always use, or do they get quite a bit big?
They grow to about 180 pounds. In Rhode Island, there's a couple cases of children and chihuahuas being eaten by these crabs. I'm kidding. They're about quarter-size max.
How did you make this? How did you prepare it?
Oh, thank you for asking. We prepared it by deep frying it in canola oil. And we like to use canola oil because it's got a better omega-3 profile.
You're gonna go down one spot?
Yeah, let's do it. So this is Nate over here, and Vinny. Come on up, guys. So you guys kind of flank me. Awesome. And they're kind of gonna tell you guys what you're eating over here.
Basically, we do this every day, all day. So
They're waiters at Miya's, by the way.
Yeah, so it's very appropriate for us to tell you what you guys will be eating. This is the magic button? Yes?
I'm here.
Oh, excellent. That's the magic button for the less tech savvy. Awesome. So as you guys have just eaten, we have Asian shore crabs, which the wait staff and the chefs and really anyone who wants to participates in the foraging for. You can only get them during low tide. So that being the case, you might find us out on the beach at 3 o'clock in the morning. Nonetheless, it's always a good time. And yeah, it's pretty crunchy and flavorful. And you're doing the world a favor by eating them.
Can I ask you a question? Do they, this size is just the full-grown size?
Full grown's about a quarter size.
Okay.
Yeah.
However, I don't know if I should be saying this. Once upon a time, we had a fish tank of Asian shore crabs to kind of check and see what they would do in a closed environment. They don't really like closed environments, so one of them escaped, and I swear to you, this one that escaped was about this big body size. So unchecked, they can get pretty big, but in the wild, they don't get much bigger than
That was a
than
green,
that.
that was a green crab, which is an invasive species from Europe, by the way.
Awesome. That explains that.
Great. So these two.
Yeah, what's up with
I'm
these
on,
guys?
I'm on stuff with these guys. I'm on the left. I'm holding the Kiss the Smiling Piggy. The first vegetarian roll I ever ate at me is one of my favorites. We use sweet potato and mango chutney, which combined is just this amazing dish. Some people eat it and think it's a dessert. It's so great, so sweet. Definitely one of my favorites for sure.
And on the other side there, we have Charlie Chan's Ching Chong roll, which is it's not funny, first of all. And second of all, over half of our menu is actually vegetarian. It's got broccoli, roasted garlic cloves, and Chinese black bean. One of the most popular rolls. One thing that Miya's is really good at doing is making vegetarian not just an option, but like actually very palatable to the point where non-vegetarians will choose all vegetarian rolls. It's really good because, well, first of all, I don't think any of us really eat enough vegetables, but also because the vegetables that we do have are superfoods and are very good for you.
This is a bad-tempered geisha man holding a bad-tempered geisha boy roll. It's farm New Zealand green mussels, which is so great. Mussels, these ones especially, are really kind of the filters of our oceans. They filter through all the bad things, and that's actually how they, grow. That's their food base, all the carbons, everything like that. So, these are the ones in particular, they are farmed, and they are farmed off ropes, which are, somehow anchored to the bottom of the ocean. They go up and they just sprout right off them. And we add a little scallions and some kudzu dust to it, gives it a little extra kick.
And that's really an example of the best case scenario in aqua farming, because in a world where fresh water is diminishing, you don't have to give mussels fresh water. You don't need to use antibiotics, growth hormone, pesticides, and it also removes nitrogen from the ocean, which is a greenhouse gas, as we all know.
And yeah, they're sort of passively farmed in that you do not have to give them any feed. That you just seed them and let them do their thing. So it's really quite a simple process.
What's kudzu dust?
Kudzu dust is when you make like a chili pepper of any kind down, and you just want to bake it just so it doesn't get that like that charred flavor. And then what you do is just kind of grind it down, and the dust that we get from that just kind of sprinkle in there.
We just put that up as a joke to see if anyone would be listening and paying attention. Thank you. At least there's one person who's paying attention.
Huge graver.
So what is the leaf?
It's kudzu's not in there. We were just kidding around. Oh, that's seaweed called nori.
Yeah, here we have the black-eyed squid, which is some tempura-fried calamari and broccoli, and then the outside is dyed in squid ink. Apparently, there's no end in sight of the squid population, so it's really good to be fishing for squid. The sort of the like give and take of that is it is also, since you have to net them, it's like impossible to have zero bycatch. But nonetheless, with an exponentially growing population, you can see some more squid in your cuisine coming up.
And this last roll, the more majestic, colorful one on your plate. There's a bunch of great stuff in there. The catfish, which is, potentially it could be one of the more healthier fishes if research serves us right. Okra's in there is great. Apricots, flying fish caviar, goat cheese. It's just a bunch of great flavors that go great together. It's a perfect menu.
Yeah, we're hoping that one day they'll be able to raise catfish with better feed so that it would have a better omega-3 profile. And there's been issues with antibiotics at the same time too. But with everything that we're working on with sustainability, it's we see sustainability as a moving target with the information always changing, and we don't consider ourselves a sustainable restaurant so much as a group of people who are aspiring towards being more sustainable in what we do and live.